Hello, I'm Denise,
And I'm Ali.
and together we are DNA. And today we're going to talk a bit about the album again that's coming out in 3 parts, Home, which is coming out super soon. It's coming out super soon. I don't know when you're watching this. It may already be out, but we're going to say it's coming out super soon because in real time it's coming out super soon and we're pretty excited about that.
It's being released on the 25th of January 2025. So whenever you're watching this, past, present or future, now you know.
Now you know. So today we're going to talk about what bits were the real impasse resolution moments, the real sticky parts for us, and maybe the most exciting parts as well.
In the process of recording and getting
it together.
Getting it.
How did we
on
get
a
here?
disc.
Yes. So for those people who have been following Denise Bell, Becoming Mrs. Bell up to the pandemic, we'd released the first part of Becoming Mrs. Bell, EP1, where we're calling it. I have a penchant to write trilogies or to break the album down into 3 parts. So we know we still owe you 2 parts of Becoming Mrs. Bell. They're in the bag, they're in the computer, and with everything that happened in the pandemic and beyond, that was the first impasse actually. That was the first impasse that we had to find a resolution for, is everything closed down for us. We weren't able to gig. We weren't able to do all the other things that we do job-wise. And the resolution for that was not to try and force the music to come out through to you when everybody was, including us, was scurrying around trying to sort our lives out, but to hold back on it, which, oh my gosh, after everything we'd done to get it finished, felt super sad and super difficult, to be honest. And my way of coping and dealing with all of that was just go into the studio and start writing another album.
That's one way to do it.
Which gives us now Becoming Mrs. Bell part 1 up, part 2, part 3 to come out, and also now Home, which shows what happened to us next. What really has surprised me is that it's now 9.5 years since we got married.
It's just over 9 years. 9 years, 1 month.
I mean, 1 year and 1 month, so there you go. My apologies. I'm already halfway through there again. But it's so Becoming Mrs. Bell was about getting married and about that process up to that point. And now here we are sharing how it was that we got to be home. And the clicky clacky feet is Abe, the dog, as usual, coming in to support us. Oh, and going away again. So that was quite a lot from me. Ali.
Why do you do that?
I won't do it. I can talk indefinitely. Impasse resolution 1, write another album. That's the first thing.
Yes. So for me, some of the best moments come linked together with some of the hardest parts. The best part of it being the time that we recorded some vocals, and they were recorded and they got sent down and they got put in the mix and they sounded good. The lead up to that was very painful. And there's blocks for all of us. I love learning, but I don't enjoy being seen in the learning process sometimes.
It's very nicely put, and it's you were a superb learner, and so I totally understand.
Oh, you're very gracious. I cried a lot and I was very grumpy, and it took hours before we actually got to the bit of doing anything, because some processes just flow freely and some, for me, hit all the buttons of I don't understand, I can't remember how I did it the last time, which was a glorious position to be in. But the very first time we did it, I was just like, I don't know how to work this. I don't understand what that word means. With very good teaching from our producer, who talked me through the whole process, was not judgmental or shaming it in any way, shape or form.
Really
Didn't matter though, because I still was like riddled with shame and frustration, because I just want to go, I pressed the button, we did it, hooray. And I like getting the outcome, and that process was very vulnerable making.
And of course, I'm sitting there next to you, just in awe that there's something, that you're working it out and it's happening, and just full of, oh my gosh, she's doing it and it's going to work. And
very sweet, because I was just like,
you
don't
were.
speak to me, go away, I'm crying, I'm going, I'll be back, I need a new coffee. So it's we have different styles.
We do.
And
In these
I
moments,
am very stoic in my struggles.
And
Doesn't
like to
always
do
mean
them-
that I get things sorted from that stoic place, but I
you
need
like to
at
do
least
them
a
behind
bit
the
of
scenes.
stoic.
You
But
do like, and you like to do them behind the scenes, and that's perfectly
Yeah.
fine. I prefer to learn with somebody there, being watched, supervised, and helped and supported at each of the levels. And it's not your style of learning.
I
And
would
we
just
know
like
this.
to download the information straight into my brain so that I can just do it. But we haven't got there yet, and that's probably a good thing.
It was stunning to watch the process move through, and you have the tenacity, determination, learning skills, smartness to make it happen, because we hadn't done it this way before. We'd always gone into a studio, and actually this was born out of we set up 4 different, when I say we set up 4 different spaces over the time that this was recorded, in order to keep the process moving and in real time of where we were actually at, which I was just in awe of. And it did become a little crazy making. It was hard work for sure, but I loved hearing it come together. I think as the person who was writing it, I'd spent a lot of time on my own in the studio singing all the parts, and of course it was born out of, again, missing a choir that we ran very, very much, and being around people, having taught people, both of us taught people for all my career, to suddenly be on our own. I needed to have that surround sound, and the way that I did that was to sing all the parts. And you did a lot of arranging before, on the go of the recordings as well. And in these early days, I was singing multiple parts and building sounds, and using the voice as an instrument, which is really, really, I think, an exciting part of this album for me, because it plays to what we love, which is vocal arts, vocal performance. And there was so much of that. It was in from the start. The whole thing was born out of building and layering. Each song was like that. And that was part of my impasse resolution, again, on the fact that I suddenly was thrown into a world where there was just us in it, and all of the things that usually resourced and supported me just weren't flipping well there. The very beginning, one of the exciting moments for me was deciding, very much deciding. I'm not looking at what key it's in. I'm not looking at the notes. I'm going in through the chanting and through modes. So building everything from a mode. This is that kind of a mode. It feels like that to me. That feels like that to me. And that really tickled me and excited me and gave me something as a starting point. And this word home, what does it mean? What did it mean to us? What did it mean to me? Home in the inside, home in the outside, in this huge transitional and transformation process that we were in. And knowing what the transition and transformational process, what it kicks up. We've taught all that stuff. We've coached, we've worked with people and all of that stuff for a long time. but actually doing it on ourselves in real time, and coming up with songs that were impasse. Each song's an impasse resolution. When I say impasse resolution, I mean it's a stuck bit or a sad bit or something that feels like a brick wall. And then how do we get around that? How do I move through that rather than just be stuck? And some of that is a grieving process. So there's sadness, there's all sorts of things. And part 2 is really big on that. It's a big part of the process. This one is just like, what is going on? And a yearning to hear other voices and for us to be singing together, and what is home, and that home coming into, sort of almost and literally an looking at the therapeutic side of the psychology of stuff that we know about and is our bag, alongside the therapeutic use of voice, which I became really into and did a lot of stuff on, and wouldn't have had the time to do if we hadn't been in the position and the situation we were in. So it's a merging of that psychological, that holistic approach with the therapeutic use of voice work beyond words, even, that I found. Well, you can hear, I hear my excitement as I speak about it, and that became the threads that I began to gather and weave into the sounds, for sure. Yeah. You got another one?
Yeah, I was just thinking on a super practical level, what was really enjoyable about this process was not having to get a flight before a recording session, and not having to leave my pack to go and do the work and come back. But on the flip side of that, I very much was never on time for the starting. I was always early if I had to get a plane to my session, but to just get into the right room in front of the computer.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And there's something about travelling to the work. There's a whole process of transition in that, and getting ready and getting in the headspace and getting ready to communicate what needs to be communicated. And literally in the house, sometimes I'd go to switch the computer on and the internet wasn't working, and it was just like, oh wow, I did not do my flying transition. I didn't even get the internet to work on time. So there's pros and cons. But it was very nice to, there's a comfort and support and resource and recording from here.
From wherever we were, it was this.
Oh yeah, I just mean like from here.
Yes.
And with that also, if I'm in the studio and someone else is press and record and I'll sing, and then they'll press not record, and there'll be a bit of like, let's do another take, or double that, or do a harmony, or I literally was pressing the buttons myself, which was very dangerous because I have a tiny bit of perfectionism, and also when I used to do piano lessons, I would say sorry every time I played a wrong note, because my mouth was free to completely narrate my whole experience. But I kind of was like that at some point with when I was recording some vocals. I would just be like, no, no, and literally stop before I'd even started, which probably was quite frustrating for everybody else. But there was a progression from that towards going, okay, there's some harmonies to be done at this bit. Everyone just go away and I'll just do it for half an hour.
Yeah.
which also there's it felt empowering. I felt more in charge of what I was presenting as. I think these are my best takes, and this is what I've come up with, which was a nice forward step, but also came with its learning curve.
So what? Yeah, you've done anything
You
yet?
only sang one note. What was wrong with it? Everything was wrong with it.
Yes, and for me, I loved that freedom. And certainly by the time we'd moved out of our home and onto the transitional phase of being, well, we're already in transitional phase, we had to pack all our belongings, and find the next place, that took months and months. But by the time we were recording it, we were in a basement flat, which had its own challenges, like we've got neighbours really close by and stuff like that. And in that moment, I really learned how to sing into a microphone. And it's a totally different thing if you're doing musical theatre, if you're doing classical, everything's about the volume. If you're doing recording, the sort of stuff that we were doing, it was all about the intensity, yes, and that microphone is your one person that you're singing to, and bringing me in. It made me really focus on that, and I'm happy with the results from that and what I've learned from that, and just to be able to sit down and do it. I really enjoyed that aspect of the recording. And yes, that's not to say I was enjoying you having all your learning curves and all of that. Is very painful and difficult to watch when I didn't know how to help you in these moments. However, as a singer, I think that definitely impasse resolution applied, because I think there's been a lot of feedback over the years of, you're blowing up the system, and that's just like, if you're trained to make the noise and make it come out, and it just is. It's a real paring back and being in these new situations, new settings, and just being able to come and sit down and do it in a relaxed fashion. And that's why we've created the studio that we've created, so that people can have that experience, but not in their house at the same time. And I love the studios, all the studios we've worked in, also with the Becoming Mrs. Bell, and beyond that, I've loved that. However, it was part of the coming of age, and part of the remit was to see if we can, just sit down and do it, and that's it. And it's part of life. We're going to have a cup of tea, go Hoover, whatever it is we're going to do next. And it's such an integrated way to work that I really super, super appreciated. Yeah.
Just laughing when you said Hoover. I was like, Hoover? No.
We're in the flat. We had the boxes of all our stuff up to the ceiling. We'll put out a picture at some point, no doubt, but we were just surrounded in the boxes of stuff that we'd taken with us.
Our baggage.
Only immediate and important to us right in that moment baggage, but it was, I saw a picture more recently and I was just like, wow, it was literally to the ceiling. Yeah.
The ceiling wasn't that high, luckily, but it was a wall of boxes.
Yeah. So it unstuck that part of process of recording for you, and unstuck that part of the process of really getting intense with the sound. We had no complaints from the neighbours. This was excellent. And actually, I think we were quieter than the TV, to be honest, in the moment. But it was really intense. Another thing that I really enjoyed and was excited about was I kind of, in the writing of this, just threw away the rule book, and I had sort of seen and heard Paolo Nutini do some stuff. You could go into Scots accent. You could be in Celtic mode. You could be in Scots mode. One moment you could be doing something really powerfully modern. In another moment, and really taking permission from that, and really in this one, really going the full going fully into that. So bringing in our Scots accents, which we have, depends where we've spoken about that before, but also with the influences in the music. There's some that are, I was brought up singing Scots songs. I went to the Stirling Summer Schools of Scottish Studies for years, in both classic and in voice. And there's a real integrating of that back in when life takes turns and you go and do professional singing in different capacities. These bits weren't so much on show, but were very, very important for me. So to be able to come back and, there's one that's got more of that beat and one that's got more of that beat and one that's got more of that influence and one that's got more of that influence. And there was no holds barred. Is that the phrase? There was no limits.
Yeah, I think so.
There was no limits on what could come at what song could come after what song, because the feeling and the emotions and the impasse resolution of each one. Okay, where am I now? That feels like it needs to be. I'm writing this song now. This is where we are in the process of transition. And that comes with these influences. And it doesn't matter that it kind of feels a little, why isn't it exactly the same as the one before? Because now I'm in this part of the transition and I've got loads of musical input over centuries of my life. So to enjoy, really go into that, I really enjoyed the freedom that I gave myself permission to have in this. And I remember clapping on many occasions when the producer then went through his years of mix and we'd spoken about it and he'd bring something back and I'd be like, yes, exactly that. It just, I was tickled by that, and appreciated the freedom, since the album was all about personal freedom, which seems really apt for right now. We really couldn't have written it in anticipation of when we were going to be releasing it. But that personal freedom to really out all of the musical influences and enjoy it. It's just a lovely thing, really. Scratchy. It's just a lovely thing, really, to... It's just a lovely thing, really, to get to do that.
I'm leaving that in. That was cute. Yeah, I think you were very much in a process with the therapeutic voice work that I wasn't part of. So I enjoyed this album and just like trusting. I trust you. I trust you musically.
Thank you.
But I absolutely did not get some of the songs to start with. And I was just like, it's fine. Just go with it.
Meanwhile, I'm, hooray! Listen to this, Ali. Listen to this again. It's really...
But that's a really beautiful part of you, that I love that part that is just so excited to share your creations. So I'm never going to be like, tonally I don't understand. Because that would just be a pretty rubbish thing to do. But there were a couple of songs that I was like, I don't know where this is going to go. I'm not sure how this is going to end up.
Yeah.
And that's a fun ride to go on.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, it didn't make me feel super prepared for the sessions sometimes, because I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do with this.
Meanwhile, I'm...
And that's also like, we know each other really well.
We do.
So there's a good trust there to go see it through, see the process through, which was much more in this album than the music before. I think, where there were a lot of recognizable moments to hold on to in structures and whatever else, but this one felt more like it it just flowed through you from the universe.
And as usual, you translate for the other humans. Yes, that neurodiversity is a real thing, and it's that bringing together of the two sort of styles of music that I think makes sense probably outside. And I love that you would just be like, what you're saying there. It's just like, I didn't know where the hell this was going. There was a couple I was really unsure of, but I knew that I was delighted. And yet, obviously, for the record, I'm not one of these singers that go, oh, listen to that. Oh, I can't listen to my own voice. I'm just like, yes, it makes sense. And I think there's that for me, it's
feedback loop.
It's that feedback loop. It's exactly that feedback loop. So you understand, and it's that feedback loop of, yeah, there's somebody else that understands what I'm feeling. Yes, Denise, that's you.
That's funny.
But that external and coming back again, that, yeah, it's a thrilling, a joyous, and loads of tears in the production, in the writing of loads of tears and lots of clapping and dancing and lots of all of the emotions being processed at that stage, so that I can bring that out for everybody else, and we can all do that together. And a very joyous thing for me. And I think, again, talk about impasse resolution. I had an idea for a modern Scottish album 40 years ago, and had little bits and pieces that I was playing with and working with different musicians and things, and not quite getting to where I needed to go because I wasn't as aligned as I am now, and I wasn't as experienced as I am now. And these are very early recordings, and I was really quite frustrated with that, but I knew that was something that I really wanted to do, and this feels like me coming home to that part of me that had that impasse, and so frustrating, and not to be able to know what it was I was really trying to say. I was really young, I didn't know what I was trying to say, and now I can't really shut up. I can't imagine not having anything to say. I don't know if anybody would imagine that I didn't have anything to say, to be quite honest. But it just went on the back burner and there was just a couple of tracks that I used to sing, with my tip on it, or working with a different tip on it, and to go back and pick that part up and honour it, and that part of me, it was a very emotional and joyous thing to do. It wasn't long into it before I realised, oh my God, this is that one. This is the one that's been on a burner for all that time. And my career took lots of different turns, and this wasn't the place for it right then. And I needed you to interpret it, to interpret for all the humans and out there, and to be able to sit with, it's a real big gift for a creative artist to have someone who will sit with it. I don't know where this is going, but let's just see what happens here. And see it through, because creating is a messy process, and it doesn't always make sense, and then it jumps into line. And there was a couple of moments where the impasse for me was, no, I'm not going to say that, or I'm not going to sing that. And this other part was hammering at me, going, yes, you are. If you're into channeling, then something was channeling and saying you need to write at this. So I was getting quite clear direction within the parts of me of what to do, that I was like, I'm not. And actually, each time that happened, I learned to trust, whether the stage and experience and the sheer age of me now, I learned to trust that. And these parts got to say their piece. Maybe more about that as time goes on. Da da da.
And this week has had its golden moments too. The one that stands at, it's a busy week. There's a lot going on, and there will still be a lot going on until the gig at the weekend. And The real, like, winner moment this week was getting the email to say that the CDs are getting delivered tomorrow. Actual CDs.
So exciting.
So it's happening.
It's happening.
We are working hard and excited, and
it's a lot. And that would be one of the things to say about the difficulties of this project. Never write an album called Home on the inside, on the outside, as a country, as a universe, and looking at all of that. Well, maybe, write one if you'd like. Good luck. It brings up so much, and we were so aligned that things kept happening in real time. When I was writing it, things kept happening in real time when we were recording it. There was a couple of songs couldn't write till we got here. We hadn't even bought here when we started recording the album. That got missed out because I was like, no. And as soon as we got here, then they began to come out. And that amount of alignment. So there's loads of things happening in our home this week. As the music comes out, which again is like amazing and it's fantastic. And it's a lot because there's just everything is aligning at the same time. Am I being clear about what that kind of bit of process is for people out there? It's just like,
I don't know, you need to ask them. It sounds clear to me.
Put a message in the comments, let me know. So yeah, because we were looking at it in such an aligned way with all of what home meant, that meant when one thing happened here, another thing happened on every layer of it, it seemed. Which was resilience building. And a little hair standing on end sometimes.
Isn't that some of the best processes are like that?
I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
I wouldn't either, but I'm looking forward to my bed tonight. No offence. Actually, if you hear a beeping during the recording, it's my phone telling me to start to get ready to go to bed.
But because, as I just said, there's stuff happening in the house this week, so there was banging and crashing this morning. We couldn't be doing that then. So yes, it's bedtime. It's bedtime for Ali.
My phone told me, so who am I to argue? Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
We are super excited
yes.
that Home Part 1 is out on the 25th
yes.
of January.
And it is an album's worth of material. There will be 3 parts. It's a cinematic experience. And
we'll talk a bit more details about it once it's out. But you got to keep a little...
Da, da, da.
You got to keep a little to go.
Da, da, da.
So, if you can't wait, you'll have to wait till Saturday the 25th. Then you'll be able to download from and stream and all of that nonsense. And if you're old school and you just want a CD, then give us a shout, because we're going to have some. Please do like, subscribe, share, comment on our YouTube page, Noble House. Noble House Scott?
Yes.
Oh, I nearly lost my train. Check out our website, where you can see details about all our upcoming retreats and courses and things.
Yes.
noblehouse.scot, and come back and speak with us again soon.
We would really like that, wouldn't we?
I mean, you're not really speaking with us. Come back and have us speak at you again soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Home. It's coming.